I would like to offer you some help with chapter 4 homework problem number 3, and this problem has to do with so-called correcting entries. So you've got the following journal entries that have mistakes. And so we're going to go entry by entry, what kind of correcting journal entry we need to enter. The goal of the correcting entry is to zero out the mistake and to update the correct accounts and amounts as needed. So in the first transaction here, you can see that we performed services on credit. So by mistake, the accountant debited accounts payable instead of accounts receivable. So we have to get rid of this accounts payable, zero it out, which means we're going to credit it. So when you credit this account, it has a wrong debit, the credit will cancel it, zero it out. And we need to put in its place accounts receivable. So your first entry here is debit accounts receivable and credit accounts payable, and the amount is 15,800, and that's our entry. We are not going to do anything with fees income because fees income was correct. The second transaction, you can see here we paid for telephone service, but we flipped the transaction. So we were supposed to debit the expense and credit cash. So first of all, we need to zero it out. So just flip it back, debit expense, credit cash. So this zeroes out the transaction. It's a reverse of the incorrect journal entry, recorded. And then we're gonna, one more time, telephone expense, 600, debit. Because if I don't do it the second time, there is no entry. I just zeroed it out. Now I'm updating the correct accounts and amounts. So let me show you journal. So far we have 3 entries, 3 correcting entries. Okay. And then the last one, we need to record the rectification entry for purchasing file cabinets and office supplies right here. And guys, by mistake, instead of cash, we put accounts payable. So it says here check number. If it's a check, that means we paid cash. If it would have said invoice, that would have meant accounts. Get rid of this accounts payable, 9,100, debit it, and in its place, put the credit to cash. That takes care of it. Record the entry. Check my work. You've got 4 correcting entries. All of them are correct. Now, the analyze. So what it's asking you to do, it's asking you after the correcting journal entries have been posted, what effects do the correcting entries have on the company's reported assets? And we need to say whether assets are increased or decreased and by what amount, okay? So let me go to this, back to the journal and go through each transaction and see what kind of impact they have on assets. So let me write it on the side here. So the first transaction, this is the asset, and it goes up, right? Assets are, when we debit them, they increase. When we credit them, they decrease. So 15,800 plus. The next 2 transactions impact cash as an asset, right? And in both of them, cash is decreased. So I will put here minus 600 twice. And in the last transaction right here, cash is also decreased 9,100. Okay. So let me calculate. We've got 1 positive and 2 negative. So 15,800 minus 1,200 minus 9,100 gives me positive $5,500. And that's going to be the answer to our analyze question. Let me go to analyze right here. So our assets have increased by $5,500. check my work. Everything looks good. And we're done with this problem. Thank you for paying attention.